Hello out to all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening to another Game of Thrones discussion. And this time I'm going to be talking about one Sir David Jaffe and his particular question that he decided to ask on Twitter. Now, I did initially want to bash him. I initially wanted to bash him. But I think, honestly, that's what he's looking for. Like, he put this out there knowing it would cause outrage, knowing that gaming media, different news sites, and even the community were going to negatively respond to his question. So, I'm not going to do that. But I do want to analyze the fact that he even asked this question in the first place. Now, the results, I don't care much for the results. The majority of people said no to his question, but it wasn't like it was a grand slam. It was 43% to 57%. So not far below half agreed that they would do what he asked in his question. But to get to it myself, now I'm going to read the question. I'm not going to delve into any of the responses people have made. I mean, I had my immediate response, which was not too nice. But I'm going to dive into this a little bit. So, here's the question. Hypothetically, if you were playing and loving an open world game and there was an easy automatic platinum PS trophy for going into a minority field, and he did clarify this with some examples: Jew, Black, LGBTQ, Muslim, etc. nightclub, and killing all the minority NPCs, would you do it? Now, I don't know about everyone else, but personally, I see that as a rather stupid question to be asking, because that would be the equivalent of a black game developer who lives in the US going ahead and saying, well, if you were playing a game and you loved it, and actually there's a game that you could use as an example for this, and I do apologize in advance, Rockstar. But hey, if you were playing Bully or another installment of Bully, and the game gave you the option to get guns and walk into the school and unload it on a bunch of kids, would you do it for an easy platinum trophy? It's a stupid, narrow-minded question to ask. One, because it means you are already thinking about it. And I even had to just conjure that in the middle of me talking to come up with something that would roughly be the equivalent and be potentially just as offensive, if not more offensive. Why would you ask that? And before anybody gets into, oh, Andre, you're already bashing. No, I'm not. This is actually a question about his psychology. Now, we can make all the jokes and memes and all of that stuff that we want to, but I'm actually a little bit more concerned that this man is having a mental breakdown. Like, I never wish ill on anyone in general sense, unless they have done something that warrants it. In this circumstance, my nature tells me that I should do that to him. But I'm pulling away from my nature to think for a moment, just a moment. Does this man need help? Like, does he legitimately need mental help that he is not seeking? I'm not going to say he doesn't have the resources for it, but does he need it, and is he ignoring it? But questions like this are a sign of someone potentially thinking of doing something or harming themselves. And this happened many times over. And before, I mean, it was only a couple years ago, I was talking about men's mental health in some of my vlog videos that I was doing, specifically because I know men's mental health gets completely ignored a lot. And I've seen stuff from the things that I've looked at and the different research I've done where people have asked questions like this before they have gone out and hurt someone else or themselves. Now, granted, given his profession and him asking this question, people are wondering, well, were you thinking about putting this in a game? Now, I don't think there's really any ratings board that would let this fly. Just simply because it brings on too many negative stigmas that can't be explained away. I mean, hell, and sorry to use Grand Theft Auto again, or Rockstar's games again, because it was Grand Theft Auto, but I talked about Bully earlier. Grand Theft Auto had to be reprinted. What was it? Was it Vice City? Or no, it was San Andreas, I think. It was one of the two for the Kill the Haitians line. Now, in context, the statement actually made sense, but in the general scope, it set off some alarms with a lot of different people. Understandably so. And then on top of that, when you think about it, if it's an easy platinum, that almost means that the game is exclusively about this. Which is weird, because platinums are for 100%ing a game. I mean, at least with the context he gave, because Twitter has a limited number of characters. So it makes me wonder, is David Jaffe okay? Or is he really just truly doing all this just to seek attention and an ego boost? Or is he actually having some sort of mental breakdown that no one knows about? I question that. Because this is kind of out there. It is definitely kind of out there to ask that. And there's no way that he thought that this was not going to be offensive to someone. There's almost the intent of offending people. So, and yes, he did definitely do a video responding to people being critical of him for asking this question. So, I mean, he could just be doing it for content, for the sake of having content. But there have been people who have done YouTube content and stuff that have had said or thought similar things. And hey, don't believe me? Look them up. Actually, one place that you could go check is Coffee House Crime. You might find some stuff, and you'll be led down a rabbit hole from there. I think it is safe to say that he has at least lost his mind in some aspect. But is it a danger to himself and other people is my question. And I don't say it as some sort of joke or some sort of punchline or as a put down. But does this man actually legitimately need therapy or counseling or something? Because whether we like to believe it or not, that's a dangerous thought process. And I mean that wholeheartedly. It's been noted to be a dangerous thought process. Now, and I am one who agrees, yeah, if it was in a video game, fine, it's something that could be done in a video game. I'm never one to sit and say, hey, let's censor everything in the games. Let's not allow people to make video games the way they want to. But that does concern me that was the type of question he was ready to run to. And I'm someone who lambasted I can't remember his name right this moment, not off the top of my head, but the old gentleman from it was one of those religious shows, Pat something. I can't remember his last name, but I'm pretty sure somebody heard me say the first name and they know exactly what I'm talking about. I lambasted him early on in my YouTube content for saying that killing someone in a video game is equivalent to killing someone in real life. And I still do think that is a silly notion to make, because I'm not a star NBA player, I'm not a star NFL player, I'm not capable of performing surgery, I'm not this great military tactician. Like, I'm not running up and down, parkouring off of pipes and brick walls and stomping on turtles and sentient mushrooms. So I think that notion is still absurd, but video games can train our thoughts and minds in some way, shape, or form, because you gotta look at this and be real. The kid that saved himself, his grandmother, and I think his younger brother while playing Mario Kart, because he was playing Mario Kart, had to have used that to have an understanding of how that wheel worked in order to be able to save his family, when his grandmother had a heart attack while driving. So it can train our thoughts, but we also have to have had the thoughts in place for the things to be trainable. And I think this man is potentially looking for some sort of help, but is unwilling to say the things that make it mean he needs help. I could be very wrong, but that is one angle that could be the case. It is not a good look in any way, shape, or form. It just speaks to, one, it speaks to a lot of prejudice, and that is unavoidable. And anyone looking at this from the outside will be like, what are you trying to say here? Like, why? Again, why would you want to include something like that? And especially since there have been situations, and I know how this is going to sound, and I don't mean it the way it's going to sound, but there have been situations where someone has taken their prejudice and turned it into a weapon against a different minority group. It's happened multiple times under different circumstances where people are just living their normal lives. But specifically, and I believe it was in Florida, if I'm wrong, somebody can correct me. But I know it was down south somewhere in the US. There was a gay nightclub shot up. Simply because the people in there were a multitude of different things that were other than heterosexual. There's no way he doesn't know that happened, unless he's just living under a rock. And then there are the multiple black churches that have been shot up. We have movie theaters that have been shot up. We have schools that have been shot up. Why would you ask this question that lends itself to the psychopathy of the people that did these things, if you were not already thinking about it in some way, shape, or form? Hypothetically doesn't make a bit of a fucking difference. Not in this case, because the hypothetical speaks to a line of intention that you may not know it speaks to. And that's the concerning part. So, for as much as I have ragged on this man, and as much as Nintendo fans or the gaming world in general has ragged on David Jaffe, someone needs to do a mental health check on him. Someone needs to check on him. Whether it's someone who's a close friend, a colleague that he respects, someone needs to get in there and check on this man and see what the hell is going on with him, if they haven't done it already. And this to me is a serious matter. Granted, again, when I initially saw it, I negatively responded. That's instinct. But thinking about it, and I can only draw from my own personal experience, I've done stupid shit because I needed help in other areas, and I was either unwilling to get it or didn't know how to get it. And that could still be the case for this man. And I know of plenty of other men who have been in the same position. So, I don't know. But I am personally very concerned by that. And I meant to talk about this much, much sooner. But I wanted to be able to articulate myself properly. And I also wanted to take myself fully out of it emotionally, because if I had come into this with my emotions as a person, I would have been vicious, ruthless, and mean, rather than thoughtful about what potentially is going on with this particular person's mental health. So that's how I see it right this second. Now, if he did do this solely for the attention and the buzz it would generate, then he's a very shitty person. There's no two ways about it. And I think that this would put him up on my shit list with Adam Sessler. I have to put it out like this. David Jaffe, if you legitimately need help, You need counseling services. Please go get it. Don't sit and try to reason with yourself and say you're okay, everything's fine. Don't do that. Go get help. Go get help. I don't care if you don't think you need it, you need it. Go get help. Don't sit there and tell everybody you're fine. This is just hypothetical. It didn't mean anything. Get some fucking help. Because there are multiple people who have thought along your line of thoughts that ended up doing either something to somebody else or themselves. And in multiple different situations. Like the guy many years ago that shot up a gym full of women because he couldn't find a woman to sleep with him. He had put signs out online that are very similar to this. And a lot of the other people that went off shooting up other places put out a lot of sentiment that is very similar to this. And people who have ended themselves have put out sentiment very similar to this. Whether it be in the gaming community, movies, music, entertainment in general, whether it be books, anything. Get some help. Hell, I just got myself, well, I didn't get back in yet. I just reached back out to my therapist recently to get back into therapy because I know I need regular mental health maintenance. This is something you don't dick around with. This is something you don't play with. This is something that you take care of now. Do not let yourself slip because you're going down a road you probably may not be able to recover from. All jokes aside, all memes off the table, all bullshit put away. Go get some help. Get mental health help and do what you need to do. From there, I have nothing else to say. I have nothing else to drag out for this. Just get some help.